So in part one, we talked about the different pieces of a regular polygon inscribed in a circle. There's the radius, the apothem. So now we're going to be finding the area of regular polygons, and we're going to need all those pieces. So the area of a regular polygon is 1/2 A times P. What are these things? Well, let's kind of break it down. The number of sides is n, the apothem length is a, the side length is s, and we call P the perimeter. So here it's actually 1/2 equal, the area is 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. You can also write that as 1/2 times A. Now the perimeter would be all these sides added up. Now if all the sides are the same length, you could actually do the side times the length, and that would give you the perimeter. Those are the same thing. So here we have kind of an example. Here's the apothem, here's the side, and this would actually be the radius. So if you had two of these three things, you could find it with this little right triangle, because essentially you have your radius, you have your apothem, and this would be half the side length. Or a squared plus s over 2 squared equals r squared. So don't get thrown off just by the equation, kind of look at it. So the radius is the hypotenuse, the apothem and half a side are the legs. So find the area of this nonagon. So I know it has 9 sides. So the area, 1/2 times the apothem times the number of sides times the side length. So I have 1/2. I don't have the apothem yet. I know the number of sides is 9. And side length. Now, side length you could use with right triangle trig, and if we haven't done trig in your class yet, I have to give you that. So I'm going to say with side length 2. So what's the apothem? Well, this whole thing is 2. Which means if I kind of zero in on this right triangle, LMK, the radius is 4. I want to find the apothem, and that's going to be 1. It's going to be half the side length. So a squared, literally a, plus b squared, or 1 squared, equals 4 squared. A squared plus 1 equals 16. A squared equals 15. A equals the square root of 15. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to plug it into my formula. And just put that whole thing in your calculator in one big shot. And that's going to give you 34.86. Now remember, this is area, so it needs to be units squared. All right. Now how about the area of a decagon with an apothem of 10? So here's that center. That's the apothem, and I don't know what the radius is. But I actually don't need to, because the area formula is 1/2 the apothem times the number of sides times the side length. So here my apothem is 10. The number of sides is 10 because it's a decagon, and each side is 7. So I have 1/2 times 10 times 10 times 7. That actually gives you exactly 350 units squared. All right. So let's do a little bit of an application. So you're decorating the top of a table by covering it with small ceramic tiles. The tabletop is a regular octagon with 15-inch sides and a radius of 19.6 inches. So it's an octagon. I'm going to do my best drawing an octagon. Somehow I've completely forgotten what an octagon looks like. It's got to have 4 on each side. 2, 3, 4. All right, not terrible. So here, it's saying that each side is 15. The radius is 19.6. So what area are you covering? Well, area is 1/2 ANS. I know that my N is 8, my S is 15, so I need to find the A. So we can use this formula right here. A squared equals S over 2 squared equals R squared. Because again, I have R and I have S, I just don't have A. So A squared plus S over 2 squared equals R squared. A squared is what I'm looking for. S over 2, 15 over 2 would be 7.5 squared is 19.6 squared. 7.5 squared is 56.25. 19.6 squared is 384.16. A squared, you subtract that from both sides, you get 327.91. And you take the square root. A is the square root of 327.91. So we plug that in. 1/2 times the square root of 327.91 times the number of sides is 8 times the side length is 15. And that gives us 1086.50. This is a word problem, so we have specific units. It's inches squared. That was the hard part. The rest is pretty straightforward. If every square inch takes 4 tiles, how many tiles would you need? You'd just multiply by 4. So you would need, now, that's actually gonna give you an exact number, but if it was a decimal, you'd want to round up because you don't want a missing space. You can always have tiles left over. So you need 4,358 tiles. And then if they sell tiles in bags of 100, what's the minimum number you can bags you can buy to cover it all? So you're probably going to have some left over. So if I need 4,358 tiles, and they come in bags of 100, that would mean I would need exactly 43.58 bags, but since they don't sell bags in decimals, you would actually have to buy one more bag, so you would need 44 bags. All right, go back and watch any parts of this video, or if you need those specific formulas, go back. And now you can do your 11.3 homework.